Meghan Markle's podcast dropped to number 9 on Spotify's top podcast chart, and she only has one episode at number 38 on the top 100 top podcast episodes list. Meanwhile, Kim Kardashian's released crime show topped the Spotify US podcast chart, beating Meghan Markle's Archetypes. Royal expert Kinsey Schofield revealed Meghan is becoming less and less interesting to the American audience. I think people were very curious, but lately Kim Kardashian is beating her on the Spotify charts. There's less and less interest in her, and I think American media has noticed this new direction in the narrative. I think we're pleasantly surprised that she's complaining less, but it's also coming off as insincere because it's such a 180 turn. Some industry experts think Kardashians lends itself to having more listeners simply because of the subject matter. Ahead, learn why some think the system will ultimately be more popular than the Archetypes podcast. Plus, one offers a sense of credibility. Speaking to Newsweek about the origins of the true crime podcast genre, Hello Serial, Mathew Passy, CEO of the podcast Consultant, explained the broad appeal of the system. True crime doesn't really have a niche, he said. Anyone can be interested in a true crime podcast, whereas to be interested in Meghan's podcast, you really have to be in a specific subset of the world to seek out that kind of content. Whether you're someone who's interested in her as a person or interested in the topic that she's talking about, it narrows the overall population that would be attracted to that kind of content, he explained. I just don't see where that is going to come anywhere near the size of the scope of those who have expressed interest in these types of true crime podcasts. Meghan and her celebrity expert guests dissect, explore, and subvert the labels that try to hold women back on Archetypes. However, the conversational style with the occasional personal anecdote from Meghan doesn't come across as credible as the system. It's my opinion that more work goes into a show about true crime due to the amount of research and fact-checking required. Ashley King, creative director and founder of the podcast training company Flamingo Heights, said, "So this gives a sense of credibility over a talk show interview series, which is what separates Kim and Meghan's content. Kim's show is of interest because it's about real life, real situations, and it's an examination of social justice and a potentially unfair prison sentence. King also noted, it's an exploration of law, and because it has a story that makes you want to know more, listeners will want to return for more." Lately, Meghan Markle has reportedly asked her sister-in-law, the Princess of Wales, to appear on her Archetypes podcast during a recent visit to the UK. Royal expert Neil Sean said, while Meghan was over here staying in Windsor at their cottage, she put out a request to the Princess of Wales, according to the good source, to appear on a forthcoming episode of Archetypes. He added, "It kind of makes sense if you think about it. In Meghan's eyes, this is because she based it along the idea of the two duchesses, as they then were at that point, and of course, talking about how difficult it is to run a family, work life, and work balance." Mr. Sean claimed that Meghan's team reportedly felt this was a good move, particularly ratings-wise. We're not quite sure how this was relayed to the beautiful Princess of Wales, but according to Meghan, she felt they were progressing. If you recall back with that particular interview, she claimed she was willing to forgive and move forward, he added. He noted that Meghan and the team at Spotify are yet to hear back, although Meghan understands maybe Catherine could even fit into the show when she returns over to the United States later this month. However, royal fans and royal experts believe Catherine will never become a part of Meghan's controversy, as the new Princess of Wales is focusing on her royal duties and winning hearts with her people-friendly activities.